Hello, everyone. Good morning. Well, I heard something right now, so one more time. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the presentation today. Thank you for joining the webinar, and I hope all going to have fun and you're going to learn something interesting or maybe fascinating. Because when I was working on the project, I found a lot of interesting information. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Pavel Kulhánek. And today I'm going to talk, or I'll be talking about St. Nicholas that you can see on the screen. Now, the presentation should last about 20 minutes, maybe more. It depends on if you have any questions at the end of the presentation. And I have divided my presentation into a few parts. So I'm going to talk about St. Nicholas. And first, I'm going to tell you something about his life, like facts about his life. Then I move on to some stories or legends that are closely connected with St. Nicholas. Then you're going to see, and I'm going to talk about churches that are devoted to him. Now, another thing that is closely connected with St. Nicholas is how we celebrate St. Nicholas in different countries. I must not forget about his companions, friends, companions, characters that accompany St. Nicholas on his way. And last but not least, I'm going to mention Santa Claus. So that you can see what he has to do with our story today. So please listen carefully because at the end of the presentation, there is a quiz, okay, with 15 questions. I don't think this is going to be very difficult. So listen carefully and let's get started. Okay, everyone ready? I heard, yeah, so let's get started. Okay. Now, what do we know about St. Nicholas? Take a look at the picture. Right. So what we do know is that he was born in 270 AD in the village of Patara in Asia Minor. The area was actually culturally Greek at that time, but politically it was part of the Roman Empire. Now you can see it in modern Turkey. He was born into a rich family, okay, and his parents prayed for a child to be born, but they were not very successful actually. So he was born when they were very old actually, and they died very soon in an epidemic. So he was raised by his uncle, and his uncle's name was, by the way, Nicholas too. Okay. Now there's a map so you can know where you can get an idea where it was. Asia Minor, so it's in present Turkey, and you can take a look at the Patara, the village of Patara, Myra, or Demre. It's called Demre today. And there's one more place or town which was called Nicaea, and today is called Iznik. Now they're all in Turkey. So that's the village where he was born. I mean, Patara. I'm going to tell you something about some important events that happened or that he witnessed in his life. And one of the most important events was the persecution of Diocletian in 303 AD, which is also called the Great Persecution. If you remember, or if you know, Saint Nicholas was Christian, and Christians at that time were persecuted very much, a few times. But in that part of the world, like in present Turkey, the persecution was very severe. And because Nicholas was Christian, he refused, of course, to worship the Roman gods. And as a result, he was imprisoned for a few years. 5 years, by the way. The persecutions ended when another Roman emperor, Constantine, came to power. If you take a look at the picture, you can see how brutal it was, how Christians were persecuted. When he was released from prison, there was one more event that played an important that formed him actually, and that was the Council of Nicaea, if you remember the town, and that was held in 325 AD. And Constantine, the new Roman emperor, convened the first ecumenical council. So Nicholas, who was a bishop already, at the council argued with Arius, which was another bishop from Egypt, about the nature of the Holy Trinity, and he defended the church against heresy. I'm not sure, I don't think you understand the word heresy, so you can take a look at the definition and I will read it for you, okay? So, heresy is a belief or an opinion that is against the principles of a particular religion. The fact of holding such beliefs. And an example, he was burned at the stakes for heresy. There's actually one very interesting fact that I learned, and I was pretty amazed, and that Nicholas argued with Arius so much that he slapped him into his face in front of everyone. As I told you before, Nicholas was born into a rich family, and he inherited a lot of money. So he used his inheritance to assist the needy, the sick, and the suffering. And one of the mottos that he had was sell what you own and give the money to the poor. As you can imagine, he became very popular. Now that he became the Bishop of Myra, he became very famous and popular because he was very generous. Also because he loved children very much. And he had a big concern for sailors and ships because he traveled a lot in his life. Now, okay, many stories have been told of St. Nicholas's life and deeds. So these stories help us understand his extraordinary character and why he is so beloved and revered as a protector and helper of those in need. So let me tell you some stories that are an important play an important role in his life. So probably the most important and the most famous story is about three girls who were saved from prostitution. In order to tell you the story, I need you to know the word dowry, okay, which is very important in this story. So if you to take a look at the definition, dowry. Dowry is money and or property that in some societies a wife or her family must pay to her husband when they get married. Okay, do you understand? Perfect. So in those times, dowry was very important, and there was a family and father, and he had three girls, and he was very poor. Um, the girls would have had to go to a brothel, or they would have become prostitutes because he didn't have money for the dowry. So Nicholas, when he learned about this, secretly he came into the house, or he would not actually into the house, but he came up to the window and he threw three bags of gold through the window. Look at the picture, okay, to save the girls. Um, okay. Sometimes the story is told not with three bags of gold, but three with three balls of gold, which you can see in the picture on the right. So if you take a look at the picture on the right, this is a very typical image of Saint Nicholas holding three balls, gold balls. Another story which is very popular in France is the one about the evil butcher. Okay, and the story goes that the three small children got lost on their way home, and they were hungry, and they came to a butcher shop, and the butcher welcomed them in. He gave them food and he gave them a place to sleep. But what he did, he killed them. Okay. And a few years later, when Nicholas learned about this story or about this act, He came into the shop and he asked the butcher to give him a few pieces of salted meat because the butcher had put the three kids into a barrel with salt. So when Nicholas came to the barrel, he blessed the barrel, and the three kids came alive, just like you can see in the picture. The original version of the story is actually about three students that were murdered in an inn. Inn is like a pub, okay? And as it happened, the three young students were also killed by an innkeeper. But gradually, during time, the three small or young students came to be seen as little children. So as a result, Saint Nicholas became patron and protector of children. Um, so, like I told you, the story is very popular in France, and actually, the image of Saint Nicholas with children in a barrel at his feet with it became the most widespread image of Saint Nicholas in Western Europe. And the evil butcher had to become servant of Saint Nicholas, and he has accompanied Saint Nicholas on his ways later. Okay. Another story is about Nicholas and the sea. Again, you need to know the word pilgrimage. So let me read the definition. Okay. Pilgrimage is a journey to a holy place for religious reasons. Easy. So one day, Nicholas sailed to the Holy Land, and there was a mighty storm that threatened to wreck the ship. And Nicholas prayed for everyone's life, and everyone survived. Another story, short one, is saving from famine. Famine, I'm not sure if you know the word. So, again, let me read the definition. Famine is a lack of food during a long period of time in a region. So when Nicholas was in his hometown, Myra, if you remember, people were suffering from hunger, and there was a ship with grain that was sailing to Egypt. And he talked to some of the sailors on the ship, and he managed to get some grain for his people, so they survived. Another one, saving from execution. Okay, this story is about three men who were falsely condemned to death by a magistrate who had gotten a bribe, and that was not correct, of course. And they were going to be executed. So, if you take a look at the picture, Nicholas rushed to the scene and he grabbed the sword from the executioner's hand. Now, the instrument that you can see in the picture is called a sword. Sword, okay? So he became the protector of the innocent. So as you can see, during his life he did many kind and generous deeds in secret, expecting nothing in return. So no wonder he became the patron and protector of children, sailors and voyages, the innocent, merchants, archers, you can see a picture, thieves, even prostitutes, if you remember the story, okay? Brewers, gift giving, and many more. Okay, what happened on December 6th, 343 AD? Saint Nicholas or Nicholas died, and he was buried in his cathedral, I mean, in the town of Myra. And a unique relic called manna. What is manna? Manna was like a fluid that was formed in his grave. And that fluid was like pure water that had healing powers. However, a few centuries later, when the Byzantine Empire was slowly eroding away, so the Turks were gradually taking over that region, and during the Crusades, some Italian men decided to bring his body to Italy, to Bari, because the Turks didn't really care about Christian saints in that region. So his body was taken to Bari, Italy. So that's where you can see if you want to go, if you want to see his tomb, you go to Bari. So on December 6th, within a century of his death, he was celebrated as a saint, just within a century. Okay. And obviously, the anniversary of his death became a day of celebration. Devotion to Saint Nicholas. Okay. I don't know if you understand the word devotion, but anyway, it will be clear from the context. So, in the Middle Ages, devotion to Saint Nicholas extended to all parts of Europe. It means like his cult, the cult of Saint Nicholas, his generosity and so on, was so popular that it spread to all parts of Europe. And he even became the patron saint of Russia and obviously Greece. And thousands of churches were dedicated to him. Obviously, when he died, a church was built in Myra, which is now called Demre, if you remember. So that church was built in 520 AD on the foundations of an older Christian church where St. Nicholas had served as a bishop. And you can still go there and see it. It's very interesting. I just can't forget about the Church of St. Nicholas in Prague, which I'm sure you all know or have heard about. But did you know there is a Church of St. Nicholas in Ostrava Poruba also? Interesting, isn't it? So what happens on St. Nicholas Day, and then how do we celebrate his day? Well, first I must tell you that every country has its own traditions. We know the traditions in our country, in the Czech Republic, but in some countries it's a little bit different. But in all the countries, what happens is that children are given special cookies, candies, and gifts, like we do. In some countries, children leave letters to Saint Nicholas and carrots or grass for his donkey or horse. So in some countries in Europe, he is accompanied by a donkey or horse. And in some countries, children find small presents under their pillows, in their shoes or stockings or plates. And very often, children are given oranges and chocolate coins. If you remember that legendary story of the three girls that were saved. So when you were kids, did you get any chocolate coins or oranges or tangerines? I can still remember that distinct odor of tangerines when I was a kid. I must not forget his companions. If you take a look at the picture taken in the Czech Republic, like I told you, in different countries, the traditions are a little bit different. But what I learned is that the Daily Mirror, which is a British newspaper, they call the Czech tradition the scariest tradition in the world. What do you think? What do you think? However, oh, okay. But have you ever wondered why St. Nicholas is accompanied by those characters? We have to go back to the Middle Ages. Because in the Middle Ages, people were fascinated by the good and the evil. And of course, St. Nicholas is the good one. However, in some countries, he comes with others who symbolize evil, and these devil like figures can be very frightening. Okay, there's a list of a few countries in Europe. If you take a look at Austria and if you have heard of Krampus, this is very scary, very scary. And you can go to Austria and they still hold these festivities with Krampus, and they look like from a from a horror movie. In Germany, they have like a nicer character companion, which is called Knecht Brecht. In the Netherlands, it's a very cute boy, Black Peter. In France, they call it Père Fouettard, which is the evil butcher, if you remember that story. So when he killed the three children, uh, um, when Nicholas found out, he has to follow Saint Nicholas and his ways. Switzerland. This is very funny because the character is called Schmutzli, which sounds like schmutzig, if you know that German word, which means dirty, by the way. And the Czech Republic. Chat. Is it so scary? Were you scared when you were children? And the good character is just one character, the angel, of course. What does the angel do when he accompanies Saint Nicholas? Well, he keeps the records of children's behavior in Saint Nicholas' large book, or he may carry the book as Saint Nicholas delivered the gifts. And as we know in the Czech Republic or Slovak Republic, the angel is there to protect children from the devil. I've mentioned two animals before, white horse and donkey. So sometimes, and especially in those countries that you can see on the presentation, Saint Nicholas is accompanied by those two animals. Now we're going to this very fascinating and interesting part that I learned, and this is about Saint Nicholas and Santa Claus. What does he have to do with Santa Claus or the picture that you can see on the screen and the Netherlands and the New World of America? Can you recognize the city in the picture? I don't think you can, but now you can. Okay, New Amsterdam. Where is New Amsterdam? Well, it does not exist anymore. But where is it? It's in the United States, correct. So when the first settlers from Europe, when both North and South America were colonized, so settlers came from Europe, and the Dutch settlers they founded a city and they called it New Amsterdam in 1624. And there were a lot of English speaking people at that time also, and they took over New Amsterdam. And 40 years later, in 1664, they renamed the city to New York after Duke of York. Yeah, Duke of York. So what happened there? The Dutch had brought their festivities or celebrations of Saint Nicholas, and the English speaking people they loved it so much they did started to celebrate it also. However, We have to understand that in Dutch, Saint Nicholas was Saint Nicolas or Sinterklaas, which is a shorter version. And the English settlers or immigrants started to mispronounce the word, and it became Santa Claus. And for some reason, the gift giving was moved from December 5th to December 25th. Oh, now you get the whole story, right? Of gift giving and so on. Now, a few words about the image of Santa Claus, because you remember what St. Nicholas looked like or looks like, and we all know what Santa looks like. So there are two people that have something to do with the story today. And the first one is Clement Seymour, who wrote a poem called A Visit from St. Nicholas in 1823. However, sometime later, the poem changed into The Night Before Christmas. And St. Nicholas was described as a jolly man flying in a sleigh pulled by reindeer. And the other person called Thomas Nast, who was German, by the way, and he lived in the United States. He drew some pictures for a magazine called Harper's Weekly. And in 1881, he drew a picture of Santa that you can see on the right. And again, Santa Claus was described as a jolly man with red clothes, round belly, and a long white beard. Oops. Okay. So this is what happened. Now you know the story. Okay, let me read this for you. St. Nicholas, who was also known as the Wonder Worker, his compassion for the poor, marginalized, and in particular children, and especially providing aid to those in greatest need, became so legendary that it never faded over the centuries, but inspired others and was imitated, especially around Christmas in many countries. And that is the main message of my presentation today. Finally, I would like to tell you some interesting facts about St. Nicholas that I discovered. So let me read it for you again. Number one, the saint's name Nicholas is of a Greek origin and means victor of people. Number two, a pure liquid known as manna of St. Nicholas has flowed from his bones for 17 centuries. Number three, he's the first of the saints that you can consider a philanthropist. Number four, he's sometimes referred to as the boy bishop because he was consecrated Bishop of Myra at the age of 30. Number five, St. Nicholas spent 5 years in prison. And number six, did you know there are 6,008 men that are named Mikuláš in the Czech Republic? Out of them, 234 in Ostrava. So, do you personally know any men or boys called Mikuláš? I do. My neighbor is Mikuláš. Now, finally, there are some symbols, St. Nicholas symbols. So let me read them for you. And I don't need to translate because you can see the pictures. So the first one is mitre, crozier, three gold balls, gold coins, money bags, three maidens, children in tub or barrel, children, ship, anchor, book, and shoes. And finally, facial reconstructions of St. Nicholas. The first one from 2004 and the other one from 2014. What do you think? Okay, it's time for a quiz. I told you there's going to be 15 questions, so you have to choose between A, B, and C. Okay, take a listen and take your time to answer the questions. So, number one, where was St. Nicholas born? Is it in present Turkey, in present Greece, or in Italy? Ready? Okay. Number two, in which century was St. Nicholas born? Was it in the second century AD, in the third century AD, or in the fourth century AD? I know it's easy. Okay. Number three, under which emperor were Christians persecuted in our story? Constantine the First, Valerian, Diocletian. Take your time. Number four, how many girls did Saint Nicholas save from prostitution? One, two, three, maybe more. Number five, what's the correct name of the following story? The evil baker, the evil butcher, or the evil sailor? Number six, in another story, what did St. Nicholas grab from the executioner? Was it a knife, a rope, or a sword? Correct. Seven, what's the name of the substance that flows from his bones? Manna, Mara, Mayo. Don't laugh. Number eight, where can you find the relics of St. Nicholas? Is it in Myra? Is it in Rome? Or is it in Bari? Number nine, of which two countries did St. Nicholas become the patron saint? Greece and Turkey, Greece and Russia, Greece and Italy. Choose the correct one. All right, number 10. Which devil-like figure accompanies St. Nicholas in Austria? Krampus, Knecht Ruprecht, or Black Peter? Number 11. Which language caused the mispronunciation of St. Nicholas in the USA? Was it German, French, or Dutch? Number 12. What does the name Nicholas mean in Greek? Victor of people, generous, strong. Okay. 13. How many years did St. Nicholas spend in prison? 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years? 14. What do you call this in English? Crozier, miter, anchor. And finally, 15. Why did St. Nicholas become popular in so many countries? He was generous. He defended the innocent. He delivers presents to children on St. Nicholas Day. Yeah, I can hear you. Finished? So let's take a look at the answers. Correct? Well done. So thank you very much for your attention today. It was my pleasure to have this presentation on St. Nicholas, since it's St. Nicholas Day. I hope you've learned some interesting information about him. And well, I'd like to have your feedback. So if you're interested or if you want to know more, just feel free and drop me a line in the chat box or call me or when I see you or whatever. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention again, and I hope to see you in the future again. Take care.